Hi there. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. I'm Sean, your host. If you've been following along in the channel, you've got to hear a little bit of my thoughts on United so far, some transfer rumors, some match reactions, match previews. We talked a little bit about just Ten Hag's situation. We get kind of a two sides to the argument, Ten Hag in, Ten Hag out, and having a blast doing the channel. I love just being able to talk about United, talk about what's going on at the club, talk about the players, the managers, and performances and tactics, and having a good time. And I hope you guys are enjoying the videos as much as I'm enjoying making them. I'd love to get you guys involved, but in order to do that, I need to, hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think, what you'd like to see, if you disagree, if you agree, as far as targets are concerned, transfer targets, if there's anybody I missed, anybody you'd like me to take a look at, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and don't forget to go follow me on Twitter at MUFC versus everybody. So today we're doing a little bit more of our transfer targets for United, transfer priorities. If you've been following along, we've been doing a little mini series in between our match weeks because we don't have any midweek matches right now, right? So gotta fill the time somehow. And so I thought, we'd start the series off, a few days ago by taking a look at just some of the priority positions. Now, if you remember, we looked at defensive midfield, left back, center back, and now today we're going to be finishing off with strikers. Now, if you'd like me to do right wing as well, we can do that. You'll have to let me know in the video, in the comments in the video. I haven't touched upon the right wing because, like I've said in another video, it's not a position that I think we need to strengthen, even though I know we're heavily linked with Michael Elise at Crystal Palace. It's a position that we've got a lot of players in. We spent a lot of money in the last couple transfer windows, and we just haven't spent that money wisely. We have an abundance of wingers in the side, and I think that while I wouldn't mind seeing someone like Elise, I don't know if it's worth going into at the moment, but we'll see. We can always come back if things progress. But honestly, it's almost a moot point at that point, from what I hear. If the rumors about how close a move for Elise is in the cards, I don't know if there's even a point. So, but you can let me know. Today, we're going to bring the mini-series to a close and take a look at some strikers. But I wanted to touch upon, first and foremost, was a bit of breaking news that just popped up late last night, early this morning, regarding INEOS potentially adding to their recruitment team, recruitment structure, their new kind of behind-the-scenes group and staff. So obviously, we've been looking at Dan Ashworth at Newcastle, Jason Wilcox, we've got Jean-Claude Blanc, David Brailsford, Sir Jim Ratcliffe. We've got a lot of people in Omar Barada, that's right. So today, there was some stories coming out that we've been looking at this guy, Hugo Viana, who is currently at Sporting Lisbon, as a name that they would like to do. And this guy, they are apparently looking at, INEOS is apparently looking at bringing him in to basically manage this multi-club model, this multi-club structure that we might find ourselves in. Obviously, INEOS own Nice. There's another connection with Swiss club Lausanne Sport, and now we've got Manchester United, and so that's different for United, and it makes sense that you'd want to make some changes to kind of manage that progression, that development, that movement into that model. It's kind of like going from being single to being married. You can't just do the same things, right? There will be changes that you need to make, and if you don't make those changes, it causes problems, and people like me make money trying to help people navigate those problems. So who is this guy? He's currently the sporting director at Sporting, 41 years old. He's a former footballer who played for Braga and Sporting, and then apparently he played for Newcastle United for a little while. I think he made just under 40 appearances for them. He was given a role at Belenenses in the Portuguese league a while back for a director role, but he left after 6 months, and then was appointed by Sporting shortly thereafter. And so he was helping them kind of work on their transfer targets in that role, and obviously it was still new for him, so he had a lot of misses when it comes to transfer targets. They were not doing so hot, and that was him kind of getting to know the role. Getting that was his first job in that role, and it was a bigger club. I mean, kudos to him for taking that on, but it takes a little time to get used to it. Ruben Amorim came in 2020, right? And that appointment was actually partially backed by Vienna, who liked what he saw. Part of that role was bringing in the new manager. And so they went through several managers until they got Amorim. So Viana was actually the one who mentioned Amorim to Sporting's president while he was at Braga, and then it just didn't work out. So that's who we're looking at for a role to manage this transitional change from a single club model to a multi-club model. I don't know much about him, but we'll see. It seems like INEOS are pretty intent on putting together a good team, and sounds like this guy, cut his teeth at Belenenses, has some experience at Braga and then Sporting, and then sounds like he and Amorim are on really good terms. Sound like they were a really good team. So we'll see. Sporting do have a good history of, signing players, good history of appointing Amorim. Obviously, they've done well under Amorim. So we'll see how that goes. I'd be interested to see. There's a lot of these behind the scenes appointment that INEOS and Sir Jim and everybody are doing that I think are going to be much more important in the long run than any single player that we could sign. And that's a long-term planning process. It's not going to happen overnight, but I do like what I'm seeing so far. I just hope that we can keep it up. So we'll get back to the video after that little piece of breaking news that came out today. So before we dive in, just make sure you hit the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's go from there. So as far as strikers go, United's signings in that department have been hit or miss over the last decade, mostly miss until this summer. Really, the only striker that we've signed in a good age, right, has been Romelu Lukaku. The rest have been, in their late 20s, early 30s even, or mid 30s even. And several of them have been loans because we just have no one else. So we had Falcao, right? You remember him? Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Odion Igalo. Remember we brought him, what was that, deadline day, January, a few years back. Edinson Cavani, Cristiano Ronaldo obviously made that big return. And then when he decided to pick up his toys and leave, we had to bring in Wout Weghorst on loan. And not a good track record of signing strikers. It's a position that we've just neglected for a very long time. You could also include Martial as well, but I think I'd call him more of like an inside forward, even a winger. He was used more as a winger. Ali, I think, used him more as a number 9. And I think Ten Hag likes him as a number 9, but he was a teenager when we signed him, and his position has moved around so much it's hard to, I wouldn't actually call him just an out and out number 9. So in true Glazer fashion over the years, we've looked at big names or cheap options over the last decade, thinking that stars like Ibra, Cavani, or Ronaldo would be all the difference that we needed when it comes to just performances. Really, they were just paving over the cracks, and then we had the last minute emergency, well, here you go, take it or leave it kind of signings on loan like Igalo and Weghorst. Glazernomics at its finest, right? Rasmus Højlund was a great signing. He was highly rated at Atlanta when he broke through. And it looks like he's going to be a top striker in the future. He has a lot of the great attributes. I think the more he plays, the better he looks. But he's still young, and he was never meant to be our main striker. He wasn't even meant to be the main striker at Atalanta, which, I've said in another video. He came in, one for the future, young teenager. Zapata went down injured, and then Zapata's form suffered, and then Højlund was kind of forced to take over, kind of like what happened when Rashford broke through. And he just grabbed his opportunity and took it. He had speed, he had energy, tenacity, power. He had everything you look for in a striker, and he just had a solid finish on him as well. So the plan was to bring in Højlund, in the summer, and then also bring on another more experienced striker. We were heavily rumored to be in for Harry Kane. So the problem is, I think Ten Hag was a little naive in terms of who he was dealing with. And I think that while that would have been the plan, with how much Højlund cost and then how much we spent on like Mason Mount, the options were very limited. So the young Danish attacker has been forced to carry an already heavy responsibility as far as goal scoring is concerned, and that responsibility is made even heavier by Rashford's dip in form. I'm not blaming Rashford. I'm just saying, when you go from how many goals involvements Rashford had last season and progressively over the years to now where he is now, I mean, a lot of the weight is going to fall on this young striker, brand new to the league. I mean, it's unfair. So we need a second option to rotate with Højlund and even challenge him for that starting spot, perhaps, to, that competition can improve everybody. It ultimately improves the squad, improves our performances, improves, our chances of getting trophies, of finishing in the top 4. And so it's never a bad thing. I think sometimes with modern footballers, they want to know that they're number 1, they're guaranteed, and when they don't, they're form dips or they angle for a move. And I think that we need to get away from that. It's too much player power. I'm not saying that that's happening at United. I'm just saying I think that's a legitimate concern for when it comes to having competition for spaces. But I mean, City do it, Liverpool do it, good clubs do that, and they play enough games. I mean, we can play almost 70 some odd matches in a season if we go deep in a lot of these competitions. There will be rotation. It's going to happen. Our problem is we played the most matches out of anybody in Europe last season, and we didn't have enough rotation. And that kills you. You need to be able to do that. If you look at City's bench, more often than not, their bench alone could beat the majority of clubs in this league. So this is where it gets complicated, though. Do you target an experienced striker who can help Højlund develop, someone he can learn from, someone who, he can kind of soak in all this knowledge and experience like a sponge? Do you look at the next young prodigy, like Real Madrid have done with Endrick, Vitor Roque, all these guys? Do you look at someone like that? Or do you look at someone in their early mid-20s who's kind of ready to really challenge for that starting 11 spot, someone who's on the rise, on the ascendancy? We've been linked to a few names already this season, and today I want to take a look, like I've done in the last several videos, at our rumored targets, and then always, as always, I'll add some names of my own. I'm a bit of a scout nerd. I don't profess to be advanced, or anything like that. I enjoy it. So I have names that I've been following, and I'll add those as well. So again, before we kick off, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Let's dive in. So Serhou Guirassy, remember him from fall, January-ish, 28-year-old Guinea international, plays for VfB Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. United have been linked with him for a while, and at one point it looked nailed on that we were going to sign him in January. He had a 15 million release clause, which is nothing for a striker at that age who is doing what he's doing right now. He's also rumored to really want to move to the Premier League, which works for us as well, right? He's got 24 goals in 23 games this season, second only to Harry Kane in the Bundesliga. And he actually scored the winner against Dortmund last weekend in a 1-0 victory. So he's also in the top 1% for non-penalty goals for strikers in the top leagues right now. So he is in rare form. He is in good company. He can link up play, which is a nice little bonus. He's got 80% pass completion, puts him in the top 6% for strikers. And his attempted passes put him in the top 12%. So he's good at linking up. He's good at picking out teammates if there's a better opportunity to create a chance. He's yet to sign a contract extension with Stuttgart right now. He could be got for a steal if a contract agreement if they can't come to an agreement and Stuttgart want some money. You could get him for probably almost half the price if things don't work out. It is rumored that Newcastle and Spurs are also interested. I don't know. I know Newcastle have Isak, Spurs obviously. They got Werner. They'll probably bring in Werner permanently. You'd imagine the way that Ange Postecoglou seems to like him. Son has been playing as a center, and then the Brazilian guy they got. His name escapes him right now. Totally drawing a blank. I know his name too, and I just completely forget it. Hold on a second. Now this is gonna bug me. But now I have to look it up. Forgive me. I'll wake up at like 3 a.m. in the morning and like scare my wife and my dogs by shouting that name if I remember it. Richarlison. Phones, you love them. So they have Richarlison. So the Spurs are more stacked. We just have Hoyland. So we definitely need him more than maybe Spurs do. And I think that he could be a big help. Next on the list is Joshua Zirkzee. Obviously, you guys have seen his name listed among social media, mentioned online and in print media as well, because we're heavily linked with him. A 22-year-old striker plays for Bologna under Thiago Motta, who we talked about a little bit about the other day. He's got 10 goals, 3 assists so far this season. I've watched Bologna play a few times. I like what I see from Zirkzee. Mobile, good with the ball at his feet, gets involved in the build-up and the link-up, which I really, really like. I mean, it's nice to have a few other strings to your bow than just being a poacher or something. I like that. He's a modern striker. He plays almost like a false nine at some points, kind of like how Harry Kane has done in recent years. Benzema does that a lot. Drops back deep to help build up plays, not just up there waiting for things to happen. 87th percentile for successful take-ons. Like I said, he's good with the ball at his feet. Good progressive passing numbers, excellent pass completion for a striker, so he's really good at linking up play, which we like. We like strikers who get involved. We like strikers who can kind of do more, like I said. And what's even better is he helps out off the ball as well. He's got a tackle per 90 in the 81st percentile for strikers, and he's also in the top 10% for clearances, so he does help out a lot. He's not afraid to get involved. He's not just hovering just inside his half waiting for someone to clear the ball to him. He's trying to help out his team any way he can, whether that means passing it off to someone instead of him taking the shot or dropping back enough to sense the danger to clear the ball. So we've been linked with him all season. It is rumored that he would prefer to stay in Serie A and actually go to AC Milan, who will probably need a bit of a refresh in their attacking line. I think the rumor is, he's used to Italian football. He likes the league. He just thinks it's a smoother transition. We'll see. He would be one that you'd get some competition between him and Hoyland in terms of just starting 11th spot. So he's a good striker, but looks like it might be hard to attract him to a new league. So we've also recently been linked with 19-year-old Palmeiras attacker Thalys. He's yet to make his senior debut. He's playing for their youth side, their under-20s team. But it's looking more and more likely that he's going to be promoted to the first team soon. He's got some good performances. He'd definitely be one for the future, kind of like Endrick, right? He's definitely going to need patience. Currently 3 goals in 5 matches for their U20s, and reportedly has a release clause of just £34 million. So some might think that's a lot for a 19-year-old. Obviously, it's a release clause. You might be able to get him for less, but Palmeiras seem to be doing well, kind of building up and developing young players and then moving them on when they're ready. So it's one of those things, statistically it is more financially wiser to invest in a young player because you'll still get close to your price, depending, right? If you pay £100 million for like Mudryk or something, you're never going to get that. But we will see. You'd hope that we're better at negotiating now with this new structure involved. No more Murtaugh, no more Woodward, right? No more Richard Arnold, any of these guys. We'll see. So I won't lie though, and I'm not seeing a lot of Thalys. It's difficult to watch U20s matches from the Brazilian league in America. Like, I don't even know where you would find that. But the South American market is proving to be a bit of a wellspring of talent these days, and this is exactly the sort of signing that I think United need to do more of. This is the kind of signing that we could have started with, like Caicedo before he went to Brighton, Julian Alvarez, Enzo Fernandez before he went to Benfica when he was still at River Plate. Like, these are kind of things we need to be looking more at, and there's nothing wrong with spending a little bit more on someone who, if you scouted them properly and things, and nothing wrong with that. So I'd be interested to learn a little bit more about him. Let me know if what you think of Thalys in the comments. Is he good? Is he worth it? Where can I find some footage other than YouTube? I don't just like looking at YouTube because they only use the good stuff, but maybe I can find some highlights, even some full match streams on YouTube of their U20s. So those are 3 targets that we've been heavily linked with this season. You got a young starlet in there with a high potential, an older, more experienced finisher in Guirassy, and then one in his early 20s who's on the rise in Joshua Zirkzee. I think each one could be a good addition to United personally. Tally's probably wouldn't be ready right now, and so we'll need someone with experience. So could you rely on him right away? He's 19. I mean, younger strikers have started in the league. Evan Ferguson, for example. I mean, Hoyland was 19 when he kind of broke through to Atlanta, so it's not impossible. I think it's not so much the age with Tally's, but the lack of first team experience. We'd want someone with a little bit more first team minutes under their belt because it is a different game. But as always, aside from the ones we've been linked with, I have a few names on my list. I know you're probably like, ugh, come on, dude. I enjoy it, and that's why you're here, right? So bear with me, and maybe you learn some names you haven't yet heard of. You go check them out, maybe watch a couple of their matches, maybe jump on FC24 and sign them to your career mode. Who knows? So I think they could do a job at United, so let's jump right in. So first one on my list is Maximilian Bayer. He's a 21-year-old German attacker for Hoffenheim. He's got 13 goals and 1 assist this season. Very fast, very versatile, because he can play as a number 9. He can also play on the wing, kind of like Darwin Nunez at Liverpool. He's very much like Darwin Nunez, actually. Good dribbler, 82nd percentile for progressive carries, and top 13% for progressive passes received. So he gets in advanced position. He's good at carrying the ball, so it makes him really good against teams who play a high line and leave some space in behind. It's kind of very deadly in that regard. He's a regular at Hoffenheim presently, so the prospect of coming into United and being a rotation option or having to compete for a spot might not appeal to him. Like I said, it might not appeal to a lot of the modern young players, but it is United at the end of the day, and it's a huge step up from Hoffenheim. Despite what people might have you believe, United is still one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest clubs in the world. There is a pull there for players. People, even if you're young, players still know, like United, like they're the real deal. So that could be appealing. He also does have a release clause of just 26 million pounds, so it almost makes this a no-brainer. He's a good age, offers something a little different to Hoyland, and I think that he could take to the Premier League like a duck to water with his speed and his ability to get into advanced positions and his finishing. And that 26 million pound release clause is a snip and like I said, no-brainer. Liverpool, Brentford, and Everton have been linked to him already, so there could be competition, although Everton, you don't know what's going on with them. Liverpool is getting a new manager who might not want someone like Bayer in his side anymore. Maybe the new manager's got different. Amorim, if they bring in Ruben Amorim, for example, tends to play a 3-4-3. So is that someone he wants to include in there, especially when you consider all the players that they have at Liverpool already? And we know Liverpool operate on that Moneyball model, so they do look heavily at the numbers as well, not just the eyeball test. So he might not even be on their list anymore now. Next on my list is Mohamed Amara, 23-year-old Algerian attacker, plays for Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium's Pro League. 17 goals, 2 assists in the league this season. And he's been very effective in the Europa League as well. In fact, he scored and assisted in Union's 2-1 victory over Liverpool back in December in the Europa League. Really good striker. Union typically play a front 2, with Amara usually taking up the left-hand side. But sharing the load in terms of that, splitting the goals, hasn't stopped him. Obviously, 17 goals, 2 assists in the league. That's amazing. Good dribbler, excellent finisher, great in the transition. We like Ten Hag wants to play that high press, quick transition football. And I think that Amara will be perfect for that. Top percents for progressive carries, successful take-ons, touches in the opposition box, shot creating actions, non-penalty goals. He's actually outperforming his expected goals right now as well. So got everything you want in an attacker. He also helps out off the ball. He's in the top 10% for tackles among strikers. So not only is he good in quick transition, but he will be good in a high press as well. So it almost seems like he's tailor-made for this system. His performances have also caught the eye of several clubs, such as Arsenal, Liverpool, Spurs, AC Milan, and Marseille. I know Wolves were also heavily linked with him in January, weren't able to get a deal done. He only just signed for Union this summer, too, for just 4 million euros. So to lose one of their best attackers just a year after signing him, it's going to take a bit of money. Reportedly, he's available for just 10 million euros, but I think by the end of the season, it's going to be probably easily double that. But that would even still be a steal, honestly. 20 to 30 million for a striker like him at a good age. I think you're going to see him move, and I think he's going to make a step up this summer already. I don't think Union are going to be able to hold on to him. So Mohamed Amara, keep an eye on him. If you have ESPN Plus, go check out the Belgian Pro League. There's some good players, as you're going to see here shortly. Staying in the Belgian league, Royal Antwerp 17-year-old striker George Ilenikena. Currently on 8 goals in the Pro League, 1 in the Champions League right now. He's definitely one for the future, being 17. He's just got 9 starts in the league. So 8 goals and only 9 starts, that's pretty good. He's a bit of a poacher with an average of nearly 6 touches in the box per 90, and all 8 of his league goals have actually come from inside the box. So he's a good little poacher. 97th percentile, so top 3% for non-penalty goals. And again, just like Amar, he's outperforming his XG. We've actually been linked to Ilenikena recently, which always gives me a little bit of pride, right? When we end up being linked to a player or a manager, I was a big fan of Ten Hag before United signed him, and I really was happy when we signed him, or when we appointed him. And so I'm always feel a little bit of pride when we sign a player who I've been looking at for a while. It makes me feel like in some weird way, like, oh, I know what I'm doing a little bit, right? I'm onto something here, but that's just maybe me just being a little full of myself. But similar to Thalys at Palmeiras, Ilenikena is one that you probably want to develop. But we know Ten Hag likes that. He likes the young players that he can work with. And he also has first team experience, which is the big difference between him and Thalys. He's 2 years younger than Thalys, but already is starting matches, playing in the Champions League. That's a big deal. So again, it's not just about age, it's about experience. And he's also got that Champions League experience as well, which is good. Not that we're going to have any Champions League for him to work with next year, but experience in Europe is experience in Europe. He looks very good. He has a ton of potential, and he's Antwerp paid just under $5 million for him, I think. And after Antwerp sold pretty much their star midfielder, another player I really liked this January, Archer Vermeeren, he went to Atletico. They sold him for nearly 30 million euros. So you can imagine Ilenikena is going to go for a similar price or higher if he continues to perform the way he is. So could be worth it. One for the future, but I think he's capable of coming in as a rotation option. I actually just signed him on my newest career mode save with United as well, and he's doing pretty well in the game. So who knows, right? That means he'd probably do well in real life, because that's how life works, apparently. Moving on. Another young striker, Karim Konate, 20-year-old Ivorian, plays for RB Salzburg. So another Red Bull Group scouting signing, one who, you probably wouldn't be surprised to see him go to like Leipzig next. But 11 goals, 2 assists in the league. Very quick, he's 2-footed, which is nice. Really good in the air, and he's got really good awareness for someone so young. He's good scanning, knows what's going on, knows the spatial awareness. Knows where he is when he gets the ball. He's second in the Austrian Bundesliga for goals right now, and all his goals again from inside the box. So another kind of poacher. Crystal Palace and West Ham have been linked with him in the past. Spurs, Arsenal, and Inter have all been linked with him in the last few months as well. And Inter's CEO actually confirmed interest in the young striker as well. So we know Inter are for sure in for him. Transfermarket.com currently has his value at around 15 million euros, but Salzburg do have a solid track record for flipping young talents for a good price. So you can imagine it's going to take a bit more than that to get a deal done, especially if he keeps up his performances. But even then, even if you double that to 30 million, that's a snip for a striker like that. 20 offers a lot, quick. He seems, again, tailor-made for someone like the Premier League. So keep an eye on Konate. He looks really good. Last but not least is my older attacking target, and that is Chuba Akpom. 28 years old, currently at Ajax. He joined Ajax from Middlesbrough this summer for just 12 million. He's struggled a bit for minutes since he joined. I attribute a lot of that to the fact that Ajax have struggled. No Ten Hag, no party, right? Ajax have gone through many managers. They've struggled. There's been a massive chaos at the board level and everything, just with resignations and the scandals and everything. So kind of like United, it's a mess. So, and same with like we talked about Maxence Kakare when Lyon were going through some struggles. It does trickle down and it does impact everybody. So I don't hold that against guys like Akpom. But despite the struggles, Akpom still has 9 goals and 1 assist in the league. So if you look last season when he was in the championship, right, English football experience, he actually led the championship with 28 goals last season, and he featured in the team of the week 6 times. That's a goal every 111 minutes, which was also the best in the league last year as well. Earlier this season, he expressed kind of a little bit of frustration with his minimal minutes at Ajax, saying, he just wants to play. If he has to go to someplace to play, he will. But it's also been reported recently that along with Akpom, Ajax are looking to maybe offload a lot of their recent signings and kind of focus more on promotion from the academy as well. So you could probably get him for less than what Ajax paid this summer. You could probably get him between somewhere around 8 to 10 million, which that is a steal for another 28-year-old attacker, versatile, goal scoring. And I think a return to English football would be just the thing Akpom needs in these last 3 or 4, 5 seasons to really, rediscover that love for the game in some ways. I know it doesn't happen often. I mean, I've only remembered it happened like once with United with Alexis Sanchez and Henrik Mkhitaryan as far as swap deals, but I would start the bidding with a swap for Donny van de Beek for Chuba Akpom. I think Van de Beek returning to Amsterdam, returning to Ajax could benefit everyone. Obviously, he's not had a great time at United. Don't blame that on him. Ollie kind of didn't know what to do with him and didn't think Ollie wanted him. And then by then, the injuries piled up. And I think he just got a bit disillusioned with English football, disillusioned with United, and just wants a fresh start someplace else. And I think a return to Amsterdam, he and his partner have that new baby that they had about a year ago and everything. And I think that he would go back to Amsterdam and just hit the ground running. He could be kind of a leader for Ajax. The prodigal son returns pretty much to help during this transition period to really galvanize that midfield and kind of show a lot of these younger players, like, this is how we do things at Ajax. These are the runs you make. This is how you scan. This is how you do one-touch football. I think that Ajax could use Donny van de Beek. I think Donny van de Beek could benefit from that, and I think United would benefit from a swap deal. Like I said, I know it doesn't happen hardly ever, but it almost seems like a perfect situation, right? So I think something is there. Even if you didn't do a swap deal, you could still get him, I think, for like 10 million. I mean, and that's a steal for a striker like Akpom. So those are my suggestions for strikers that United should be looking at. I feel like it's a good mix of experience, potential, and prime form to choose from, and I think all of them will be available for a pretty decent fee. Like I said, United are looking for strikers. We do need a striker. It's been explicitly mentioned by people at the club. We all know we're linked heavily. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. So we haven't seen too many names linked with United, but we know that we need one. So it's going to be interesting. We have a lot of other priority positions. So I don't think you're going to see an expensive star name like an Osimhen or a Gyökeres come in. But you never know. At the end of the day, it's probably going to be like a Gonçalo Ramos on loan or something, and he's not too happy at PSG right now. Although if Mbappe leaves, you never know. But who knows, man? It will depend on how important the position is, since we have other positions to strengthen and limited funds, unless we can sell some players. We could get potential profit from Mason Greenwood, and then we could have some funds from the sales of Casemiro, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Donny van de Beek, and Jadon Sancho. It could be some money coming in from that would help. But what do you think of my striker targets? What are your thoughts? You heard of them before? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Agree, disagree? Did I miss somebody that you want to let me know who that is? I can go take a look at them. If you're not familiar with the guys, jump online, check them out. You'd be impressed, especially with people from the Belgian Pro League. It's a good league to start watching. Thanks for following the mini series. I know some people aren't as interested in scouting and looking at some targets as I am, and that's okay. We're not all perfect. Just kidding. But I enjoy it, and I think obviously we're heavily linked with a lot of targets. And we are, United are looking, and they need to. We need to start looking now. The Dan Ashworth delay is I'm worried that it's going to impact our summer business. I know some people have said, it's if you think they're not in contact, behind the scenes, then you're naive. That could very well be the thing, but we need to. What club is going to want to negotiate with someone who's on gardening leave? What club is not going to have questions asking? And without him directly involved in the negotiations and always having to have a middleman involved with that because he's on gardening leave, it does make things complicated and delayed. We need to get started early. I want us to have a good summer window. I want us to a smooth transition, and I want to get that business wrapped up. And I'm sure Ten Hag does as well before preseason starts because that's a big impact. Not having players for preseason, signing them later in August, when you've already played some matches. This is why I don't like that the league starts before the window closes because it doesn't help anybody. That means a lot to managers, and it could really dictate the tone for the start of a season. So hopefully we get it done. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Don't forget to leave a comment if you just want to tell me I have no clue what I'm talking about. That's cool. You're probably a Liverpool fan. That's fine. If you're, it's fine. I don't mind. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, MUFC versus everybody on Twitter, and let me know. I'll post a link to the video on Twitter as well. You guys can go check it out. And I will see you this weekend, probably tomorrow afternoon, following our match against Bournemouth. Hopefully they don't do the double on us. Hopefully United shows up, and hopefully we just get the job done and wrap up 3 points this weekend. But you never know with United. It's like a box of chocolates, right? You don't know what you're going to get. So see you all then, and thanks.